Projekt Guru.
Всем привет! С вами Zak Novak на радиостанции Novorossia Rocks. Welcome to Novorossia Rocks radio station. This is Zak Novak, your American in downtown Donetsk with Projekt Guru. Guru's in the house. Welcome back, Guru. Andre, my engineer. Both of you guys, thank you so much for all the hard work you do. Let's go straight to the news. More attacks, bombing of civilian areas by the Poroshenko Junta Ukraine regime. Civilian injured. Again, war crimes, the indiscriminate bombing of civilian areas using mortars of 82 and 120s, including anti-tank guided missiles on civilians. Ukraine junta using same tactics as Nazi Germany of World War II with the blessings of the Obama regime are again shelling, attacking civilians in the people of Donetsk Republic. There are injuries and homes damaged and destroyed. The Nazi Ukrainian military again shelled the Kominternovo settlement in South Donbass, where one civilian was injured, according to the head of the local administration, Oleg Morgun. Yesterday in the afternoon, once again, they shelled Kominternovo, he said. One civilian was injured with shrapnel wounds and was taken to the hospital. Further information is underway, he said. 10 residential houses were damaged in shelling of the Kominternovo settlement the night to Friday. One residential house was completely destroyed, the agency added. Commander of the 9th Regiment of Donetsk People's Republic, Defense Ministry Colonel Andrei Oprishenko said that 5 houses have been damaged only over the last 3 hours. Oprishenko noted that the Nazi Ukrainian forces shelled Kominternovo from mortars of 82, 120s, and anti-tank guided missiles. Guru, listen to this. 135 dead, feared dead, and over 400 kidnapped by ISIS forces in Syria. Weekend fighting in the eastern Syrian city of Deir ez-Zor has left at least 135 dead, including 50 pro-government fighters and 85 civilians as ISIS forces its way into the area. ISIS also reportedly kidnapped some 400 civilians in the city. ISIS controls all of the Deir ez-Zor province except for the city itself and a nearby airbase. The city has been repeatedly contested, and UN officials have recently warned of sharply worsening conditions in parts of it because of the constant fighting. Syrian state media claimed a much larger death toll in yesterday's fighting, suggesting that ISIS had killed around 300 civilians as opposed to 85. As with many such incidents, it's impossible to get an accurate count, and it could be quite some time before we know the full extent of the incident. State media reported that ISIS began the attack with 6 suicide bombings against military positions in the city, and locals reported extensive gun battle beyond that. ISIS usually uses suicide bombings as a prelude to attack to soften up defenses. Ultimately, the Syrian army military appears to have held off ISIS, but extensive damage was done, and the large-scale kidnapping suggests ISIS is far from through with contesting this area. Okay, let me bring in my co-host, Natalia. She's going to talk about more of the war atrocities committed by the Poroshenko regime here in Donetsk People's Republic, and also the desecration of all our monuments in Poland.
Military siege of Novorossia. The entire previous week Ukrainian fighters violated the ceasefire regime. Deputy spokesman of the DPR Eduard Basurin reported yesterday that the military situation has worsened recently for the last 24 hours. Ukraine armed forces violated the ceasefire regime 20 times yesterday. They used mortars, grenade launchers, and small arms. At least 26 mines were launched by UKIS. The entire week such populated areas as villages Zaitsevo, Zhabichevo, Spartak, Железная Balka, especially to south from Donetsk Kominternovo, were severely shelled. 12 houses in Kominternovo were destroyed as a result of shelling by Ukrainian fighters for last week. At 5 p.m. yesterday was shelled Kievsky district. Pipeline was struck. This district is close to the railway, very populated area. It was shelled regularly last year. People were to move. However, all the block of flats were restored, and for a long time it was not shelled. Kominternovo was subjected to regular severe shelling yesterday, 1 wounded among civilians. A very important news for Europe. Russia made a protest to Poland after monument of the Red Army desecration. The gratitude to the Red Army monument was desecrated in Poland. It was pointed out in the Foreign Affairs Ministry of Russian Federation that Russia asks Poland to investigate this incident, to find and to punish criminals who committed this crime and to restore the monument.
Americans kidnapped by militias in Baghdad. The U.S. Embassy confirmed Sunday that several Americans have gone missing in Iraq after local media reported that 3 Americans had been kidnapped in the Iraqi capital. U.S. Embassy spokesman Scott Bolts: "We are working in full cooperation with Iraqi authorities to locate the missing Americans." Bolts did not identify the missing Americans or say what they were doing in Iraq. State Department spokesman John Kirby said that due to privacy considerations, he had nothing further to add about the missing Americans. "The safety and security of Americans abroad is our highest priority." The comments by U.S. officials came after the Arab news channel Al Arabiya, citing its own sources, reporting that 3 Americans had been kidnapped by militias in Baghdad. Iraqi media reports said that Americans went missing in South Baghdad on their way to Baghdad International Airport. A Western security official said on Sunday that he had been told that 3 Americans went missing 24 to 48 hours ago. There were no immediate claims of responsibility. Kidnappings in Iraq have been carried out by the Islamic State group and Shiite militias, as well as criminal gangs demanding ransom payments or disgruntled employees seeking to resolve workplace disputes. The incident comes after a week that has seen a deterioration of security and around the Iraqi capital after months of relative calm. The Islamic State group claimed a number of attacks in Baghdad and neighboring Diyala province last week that killed more than 50 people, including a high-profile attack on a mall in the Iraqi capital. The string of ISIS attacks on civilian targets within areas of Iraqi government control follow battlefield losses, most recently in western Iraq. This is very important, Guru. Last month, Iraqi troops pushed ISIS fighters out of the center of Ramadi, the provincial capital, Anbar province in Iraq's Sunni heartland. In acts of apparent reprisal, armed gangs residents identified as Shiite militias attacked Sunni-owned businesses and mosques in Diyala province just north of Baghdad. After ISIS was pushed out of the province, security there was left almost entirely in the hands of Shiite militias, responding to a call to arms from Shiite clerics in Iraq after the Islamic State groups swept across the country's northern and western provinces in the summer of 2014. Shiite militias in Iraq now wield more power than the country's regular security forces and military. Great news. Andre, this is for you. Passports for the new republic, the true patriots, and easy travel to Mother Russia. The People's Republic of Donetsk, DPR, will begin issuing official passports of the republic. This was announced by the president of DPR, Alexander Sakhachenko. It is also worth noting that with this official document, the citizens of our country will have the right to cross the border with the Russian Federation. This practice has been officially started in our sister republic, Lugansk, since last year, 2015. Despite the fact that our republic is not yet recognized, our dear citizens, without any problems with these new official document passports, will be able to travel to the Russian Federation. On the basis of a survey, it showed that our citizens of the Republic are true patriots. In spite of all the bombing by the Kiev Junta militia and being terrorized by the coup leader Poroshenko and his Nazi forces, and also the blindness of Western international policies, the young state residents are willing and anticipating to receive their new DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, passports. Guru, when we were talking about the Shiites in Iraq, and you know they're supported by the wonderful people, the government of Iran. So what happens? Obama, deceiver, imposes new sanctions on Iran after just 24 hours of removing them. The Obama administration reportedly decided to withhold sanctions against Iran over ballistic missile testing on fears that it would damage their ability to negotiate a prisoner exchange. After the exchange happened yesterday, however, the U.S. went ahead with the sanctions anyhow. The move is likely to fuel new acrimony with Iran and indeed with other P5+1 member nations, coming less than 24 hours after the U.S. had removed the nuclear sanctions against Iran. Iranian officials have argued the new sanctions would violate the letter and spirit of the nuclear deal. Indeed, that may be the case. The sanctions are based on UN Security Council resolutions forbidding Iran from developing ballistic missiles capable of delivering a nuclear warhead, which suggests the resolutions to be a part of the now resolved issue of Iran's nuclear program. Iran has also argued that the missiles in question aren't capable. They are not capable of delivering a nuclear warhead at any rate, meaning they weren't covered by the resolutions. The other P5+1 nations all seemed to agree, and it was only the United States, the Obama administration, that complained at all about the tests, let alone going so far as to impose new sanctions against Iran within a day of lifting the sanctions against them. The new sanctions aren't as broad as the originals, of course, but will still serve as a slap in the face after the Iran made the P5+1 deal and then went an extra mile to implement every portion of it months ahead of schedule. That's likely to be a costly decision for the U.S. as Iran is planning to use much of its newly unfrozen wealth to modernize its economy, and some major international corporations could be in for some big contracts in that regard. New U.S. sanctions are likely to push the U.S. companies to the back of the line in competing for such deals. Guru secret agents, U.S. secret agents, CIA to be turned over to Italy to face charges in their role rendition program. Italy might finally be about to get a hold of one of the former CIA operatives convicted in absentia over their role in the U.S. extraordinary rendition program, as a Portugal court has ruled that Sabrina de Sousa should be turned over to the Italian government to serve her 6-year sentence. De Sousa was a CIA operative posing as a U.S. diplomat in Italy during the 2003 kidnapping scheme, but insists she was not involved. She publicly accused the U.S. of conspiring with Italian leaders to prosecute innocent agents in return for protecting the higher-ups who approved the rendition in the first place. On February 17, 2003, CIA agents kidnapped Milan cleric Abu Omar and snuck him out of Italy. He was subsequently sent to Egypt, where he was tortured in custody for years. In 2007, the Egyptian government ordered him released, saying his detention was totally unfounded. The incident of kidnapping an imam in broad daylight off the streets of a major European city is considered one of the seminal examples of the U.S. extraordinary rendition program. In 2009, Italy convicted 22 CIA agents in absentia over the kidnapping. PKK news. Resistance sees the day. Free Kurdistan. 3 police killed, 4 others wounded in Idil. Idil district of Syriac was hit by a huge explosion last night. Guru, listen to this. Idil district of Syriac was hit by a huge explosion. According to initial reports, 3 junta police officers killed and 4 others were wounded in a blast which occurred while an armored police vehicle passed by Aldiana Avenue last night. Turkish junta state forces shelled Yeni Mahala and Turgut Özal neighborhoods for hours in the wake of the blast. Also, 4 Turkish junta special operation police killed in Cizre. 4 special operations police were killed and 1 other was wounded in Cizre on Sunday afternoon. Sirnak, as the onslaught by state Turkish junta forces getting heavier in Sirnak Cizre district in its 35th day, civil defense units, that's the YPS, have responded to the intensified aggression on Kudi neighborhood, which resulted in heavy clashes in the evening hours. 4 Turkish junta special operation police officers were killed and 1 another heavily wounded in that fighting. Casualties, the wounded and dead have reportedly been transferred to Serafettin Elchi Airport in Syriac. Sporadic clashes and attacks are continuing in Kudi. The people of Cizre's People Council calls for uprising as attacks kill another civilian. In Cizre district of Syriac, where genocidal attacks by state forces, that's the Turkish junta forces, are getting heavier every day, yet another civilian has died as a result of the intensified aggression. Tanks and armored vehicles deployed on the Kaferi Sadiq Hill, which overlooks both Sur and Kudi neighborhoods, have been targeting both areas since last night. While numerous houses were hit and demolished by shells, many other homes are on fire, forming a huge black cloud of smoke over the town. In the meantime, Turkish junta forces also continue to conduct mortar attacks on the town from surrounding villages, which are also hitting and damaging many houses. A mortar shell fired yesterday killed a 10-year-old Hariyetin Sinik and wounded 3 other residents. Rest in peace, little child. Another civilian murdered as uninterrupted fire by Turkish forces on Sur neighborhood continued throughout the night. Civilian Mehmet Ridavan Kamez was shot dead by a bullet through the head. His body is being held in the area due to the ongoing aggression. While Kudi neighborhood also remains under heavy fire, police have closed the last 2 markets and bakery in the town, which had remained open since the beginning of the curfew in an effort to provide basic needs for the people. In the face of the growing reactions against the closure, police stated that the 2 markets will be held open only 8 to 12. That's only 4 hours a day. They want to punish our people resisting them. Cizre people's Council co-chair Mehmet Tunç stressed that the state is now killing civilians with tank and artillery fire after failing to break the popular resistance in the neighborhoods. Tunç remarked that people of Syria haven't left their houses, contrary to the anti-propaganda and perception operations saying otherwise, and are strongly resisting the imposition of an evacuation by means of aggression, blockade, and food embargo. Guru, what they're saying is the propaganda is they're saying that people are running away, evacuating from the towns and leaving the towns, but they're not. They're resisting. They're holding on. The barricades are holding on, emphasizing that intensified attacks by state forces are claiming more civilians' lives every day. Syria's People Council co-chair called upon all Kurdistan people to rise up against increasingly ongoing killings and support the resistance of Syria people. Viva PKK. All right, folks, that ends our program. Everyone, please be safe, stay alert. See you all on Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.